We are live. SBtalksports Sean Webb. Real takes over fake debates. We are live, man. It is Monday. Happy Monday to you, Sean. What's going on?
Man, I'm doing good, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Monday, can't complain. I was telling you before the show, I got my cucumber and lemon water right now, but I'm starting a 2-week all fruit fast. We got a game night been playing, so obviously we're gonna be kicking it and having fun. So I'm not gonna try to just drink on the food stomach. So I'm gonna probably break it just to get something greasy on my stomach. But besides that, I'm going on this day one though. Day one. We pushing and grooving though.
Yeah, man.
What's up with you, man?
Good, man. Just ready for this week, man. Got a big week sports wise. March Madness kicking off, and obviously this playoff race coming down these last few weeks of the season, and obviously getting ready for the NFL draft and some free agency stuff. So yeah, man, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a good week. And then also, if you're down and out on your energy, go to swiftenergy.dg, use code RTOFD to get 20% off your order every time you order. So, Sean, we got in this world of podcasting, everybody seems to want to get to it. But now, obviously, it's money, attention is where we want to look into it. One player in particular is looking like he's ready to get into the podcasting lane. LeBron James, and obviously JJ Redick, we've seen him on ESPN. He also got his own podcast. I think it's like the Old Man and the Three. If I did say it right, thank you. Old Man and the Three. And LeBron has done shows. I don't really look at the barbershop as the podcast. I just look at it as a show because he don't really do it every week. It'd be an episode every 2-3 months maybe if he do it and record it. He had but it just seems he just be interviewing and talking to people. But if you want to count as a podcast. But he's stepping into the podcast lane. The podcast gonna be called Man the Game, and it's centered around basketball talk. Only basketball. I want to play a clip of it real quick just to give everybody a glimpse. Let's go to video mode. Let's see what this Man the Game podcast is about.
There's a lot of other things I would do in basketball too. It's a couple other coverages I would do. The pick the picker, B.O.B. Not bombs over Baghdad, but baseline out of bounds.
Yeah. America's play.
Yeah, America's play. Yeah. You have the guard, you have the best shooter sitting in the middle of the lane.
Yep.
You have the biggest wing sitting at the top.
Yep.
5 is on the strong side. You have the point guard taking it out.
Yeah. And then the weak side corner.
In the weak side corner.
Yeah.
It's not many times that the guy, the wing that's coming down the middle gets that pass. Because in theory, if you're guarding the ball, 1,000, 2,000, take away the basket, and then jump out, right? To take away the shot. The guy that's guarding the ball, when he says 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, why doesn't he just take the guard that's coming out for the pick-the-picker, and the guard that's guarding the pick-the-picker guy just falls right to the guy that's taking the ball out?
Yeah.
You go 1,000, 2,000. JJ Redick is flying off left, right, where he's dangerous. He can shoot straight up and down if he wants to, or he's going to fade if he wants to as well, maybe kick you.
It's my natural shooting motion.
Yeah. So that's just a little glimpse of the podcast, Sean. And it was a thing that I was worried about, and I brought my attention to you. That I was I wonder how this podcast is going to work in the long term because of the conversation that he having. The casual fan base, one probably wouldn't understand it, and that's another thing too. Ain't nothing, and there's nothing wrong with saying that you don't understand, but that's the whole point of watching shows like that, to get over that. A lot of people don't pick the picker. They don't know what that means. They just can put it in their head, or they'll know the handoff. You know what I'm saying? It's certain little different things and aspects, and also it's nothing wrong with saying you don't know. That's why you should watch shows and podcasts like this to learn. But the also problem with basketball is too narrative driven. I don't know how this it's going. People gonna watch it because it's LeBron James. And JJ Redick also complained before, and then on a show that's oh yeah, I did a video breaking down the game. It's one of my least viewed videos, but when I come on here spewing the narrative things, it goes up. And that's all the NBA is narrative. It's the most narrative driven sport out of all the major sports. So I like to see that they're doing that, but I guarantee they're not going to avoid the narrative talk at some point of their podcast. But what do you think about it and what you see?
So, I mean, I think obviously when we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think one thing we're seeing obviously is the rise in athlete platform and podcasts and things like that. Something we would not have seen, 10, 15 years ago.
No.
And, and I think there's many reasons why that's happened, but certainly to your point, we have gotten a little way too in the basketball community, way too narrative driven, right? And again, the blame goes to the platforms that decided that's the route they wanted to go in terms of how they're going to cover the sport, right? So I've always said this: more people listen to Stephen A. Smith talk basketball than they do Tim Legler.
Yeah.
If you listen to Tim Legler, it knows what he's talking about. He breaks stuff down. I mean, very well when he's, at the whiteboard or whatever. If you put Stephen A. Smith on the whiteboard and say, "Hey, can you draw up horns action?" I don't know if he could do it.
I doubt it.
I mean, I've seen his busted jumper, so I'm going to say probably not. But the point is that, it's just very few guys that actually do that, but it's also is the audience appetite for that, right?
Yeah,
is it really for that? And so I think if you want to raise the audience, you have to raise the platform, and you have to raise the ability, I think, to have these conversations. And again, what I hope they do is not just sit at a table and talk, but they actually get some visualization going.
Like Kobe with a detail.
Yeah, like Kobe with detail and things like that. I would love that. Yeah, so that's what I hope the next phase is. But again, I think we're in a place where we're going to have a very different conversation, SB, about what these platforms look like in terms of podcasts, and I think we also, again, need to, understand why we've gotten to this point. And again, I think it's a much deeper conversation, and there's a lot of folks who are to blame for why we've gotten to this point. But
I want to get we gonna have a deep conversation today. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
We might as well knock it out.
But shout out to LeBron and JJ Redick for doing this, because again, I think it's much needed. And I hope folks actually watch it and learn something. So when you're watching a game, you understand why certain things are run. Why are they running this OTP? Why are they running this BOB? Why are they calling this set in this moment? And against this particular look. I hope folks really pay attention and get that from me.
And it's true. It is true about this 30 on the contract. SB, some of the most popular basketball players are narrative driven. JJ Redick thinking basketball. I'm not saying it's not good basketball actual talking podcasts. I'm not saying that's not successful, but majority of like the main ones are like narrative driven or the most popularized. Or even if the numbers don't say they're the most popularized, they are the most pushed in your face to try to get you to watch. Because you see, I don't see no TikTok clips going viral of somebody breaking down plays. What's going on? The TikTok is going viral with a play going on is we done with the 90s and just calling Michael Jordan trash.
Right.
They ain't breaking down no film or nothing. He just yelling at the TV.
Right.
And that's how you say, yeah, this is real. This is real. We played the clip of it at the beginning of the show. Here you go, Leonard. He says you can't have tips for you now that you're Rouse slick. Man, all right. We're about that Jerry Judy. Legs is pretty good. He a former player, though it makes sense. Yeah. 30 said not in your algorithm. Yeah, you look up stuff different. It's not my algorithm crazy too, but it just comes with it. Like that's what I said. If they go strictly just stay with that, because like LeBron and JJ Redick by far don't need a successful podcast. They are well off. They are fine. They good. So I think they can definitely stick to that. And I actually hope that they do. Sean, because I love when people actually break down basketball, and I love hearing things that I might not understand again, because I'm not going to sit here and say that I understand everything when it comes to basketball, or especially not like all the terms, but I probably know what something is when I see it, but I probably wouldn't know, oh, that's what y'all call it. And that's also I said that's the problem also with the basketball community. People so worried about not wanting to be a casual instead of just, oh man, I really didn't know that. I learned something new. And I also hope that they do I hope they do like the visuals. Like I love when I'm watching Kobe with the detail or the actual visuals of seeing it, because a lot of people won't understand them saying it. They got to actually like visually see it. And they don't know that. But like we talked about, the narrative thing, right? Because has narratives ruined the NBA? I think so. And you even alluded to the point before the show that it's starting to spill into the NFL now too, and other sports, because that's sometimes that narrative stuff get the casual fans, get the casual fans who don't watch the NBA every day. They want to get those people in too. So what's the easiest way to do it? Go and do some with a narrative where they think they can understand something better. That's it. And they make awards go, oh yeah. Not explaining the fact that there's like, Bill Russell could be the greatest defender ever, right? But nobody does. But the narratives off your awards. People don't understand that certain awards and certain stats wasn't calculated at that point in time, so they won't even look at like a guy like a Bill Russell the same because of the narrative. Not doing their research and understanding enough. They're like, oh, this wasn't even available at this time. Like we was talking about the in-season tournament. Now, if this come a whole staple, people gonna be like, oh well, Michael Jordan never had this, even though clearly knowing that he couldn't win it. But that's where it comes to the point of the problem that there's like the narrative is bigger than the game of basketball.
Right.
So, Sean, for you, has narratives ruined the NBA?
I don't know if narratives have ruined the NBA. I think what narratives have done is made people less interested in actually learning the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And not just what happens on the floor, but the business, what happens behind the scenes. Why did this team make this decision? Why did this player make this decision? What were their representatives, pushing them to do to make certain decisions,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what it's done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it didn't happen back in the day. Right. You had the shows like Mike and Mike on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
You had Mike and Mad Dog back in the day, which really, if you really kind of think about it, is kind of what today's media is. The shock jock, let me say something polarizing, or let me just tell you my feelings, even if I don't know this to be true or not.
True.
Media, that's what has, I think, ruined the coverage of the game. It's not about reporting, it's about opinionating. And oftentimes when you get on a platform, SB, my rule, I don't spew my opinion as fact, but I do try to base my opinions on facts, stats.
I have never heard you. There's the whole point of why we do this show. I have never heard you just say something just to get a reaction. If you ever say anything, you felt that way.
Yeah, but I also try to give you a justification historically why I came to that conclusion. So, and that's with anything, predictions, whatever it might be. So I think that has been the thing that has become the problem. And now it's not about getting it right. It's about first. Who's first? Who's the first to do this? Who broke this story? Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. What ticked me off, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't want to go on this soapbox, but the day Kobe Bryant passed away, one of the first people to so-called break the story made the mistake of saying Kobe's family was on the helicopter.
Yep.
Right? Why? Because he was trying to be first. It wasn't about getting the story right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a platform, and again, this is a platform, this is your platform, we have a responsibility to try to get it right. It doesn't mean we won't be wrong, but we have a responsibility to try to get it right. And I think that's what has gone away, and that's what's ruining the coverage of the game.
No, agreed, bro. You hit it right on the head, Sean, because it's about being the first person to do something. And then if you get it wrong, you just be like, oh yeah, like you said, Kobe family was not on the helicopter, but Now you got the whole world thinking, and his other family members thinking he done lost all his family members, not really knowing the whole story. Then also, I like how you brought up the fact of like how it's our job to get stuff right. We was thinking that okay, players used to always complain that these guys who never played the game of basketball just go on here and go on a rant and say anything, right? The door got opened for everybody to do podcasts just like us. And we see a lot of athletes and former athletes literally doing the same thing. Literally doing the same thing. And these was the same guy used to complain about like what the media used to do to them. Why do you think like the NBA players even start doing the same thing? Like this is like a handful of guys who really like try to talk basketball straightforward. Even JJ, I give JJ credit majority of the time, 80% of the time, JJ, especially on his own platform, talks keep strictly basketball. But even sometimes he get caught into the problem of it too. It's just the belly of the beast of the situation. But why I was shocked that players didn't come in and try to change the narrative of how you got to go in and talk basketball. They fell right into the trap and did the same thing. Sean, was you shocked about that or no? Like shout out Gil. Gil is a perfect example.
Yeah, no, because again, I think that's the problem. These platforms don't care about quality. No. They care about numbers, right? So again, at the end of the day, it's easy. So here's what I tell people all the time. People think it's easy to do this. Right? You think it's easy to do this, right? You think it's easy to get a mic and a camera and a computer and sit and do this for an hour or two every day or however often you do it. And it's not. What's easy to do is to get a camera, a mic, and a computer and just sit up and say anything.
Yeah.
But if you want to be credible and you want to do it right, it's work. It takes work.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I'm not gonna run down everything I've done in my life, but I've had a chance to write. I've had a chance to commentate. I've had a chance to do radio. I've had a chance to do a lot of different things. So you don't get to this point just overnight. It's literally, this thing of I don't like what so-and-so said, so let me get my own mic and camera and computer and start my own thing and say what I gotta say.
Yep. That's great about that. He said they're not doing real police work. They only working on that. You stupid.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, and then like what messes like me up with the situation, because you understand, like I went through the media training process and learning. Like I did play-by-play for games. Was on the radio. I did talk shows. I created talk shows. I did behind the scenes. I literally know how to do everything. I know how to run an actual TV studio. And it's like a lot of guys don't understand how hard it is because you're not necessarily trying to go ahead and say anything. And yes, I could have fell down the same trap and just get on here, say anything, get super popular for views, but it's not gonna last in the long term, because then now once you make that your style, you're gonna have to do that every time. I'd rather just build something legit up and you know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be the same thing. Because let's get like real takes over fake debates. We're not saying nothing to say nothing. We're gonna have real takes over any fake debate narrative conversation. We're not doing it. And if you want some shock takes, you ain't gonna get it here. Because trust me, anything I said, I really felt that way, and I brought facts to why I feel that way. You could disagree, you could think I'm wrong. I'm cool with that. But that's when we get to the point of like things getting too outlandish. And that's why we got narratives. And now, like you said, Sean, you feel like it's going into football now. And like now it's going to be, what's the narrative going to be? Because everything can't always be about the narrative of the numbers of narrative awards. Sometimes you got to actually go back and look, because we talk about this. You made me I think about this every time now. Once the NFL go to 18 games and these stat lines going to be blowing everybody out the water, what the narrative is going to be around.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, SB, I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I saw something the other day after the Justin Fields trade that basically, this came from Pro Football Focus, PFF, said the 2021 quarterback class, draft class, is a complete disaster and bust. It's like, you're supposed to be a credible organization
Mm-hmm.
with all these resources, and that's the best you can put out.
Come on now.
You didn't say, hey, well, listen, let's look at each of these individual situations and why it might not have worked out in these individual situations.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do that.
Yep.
That's why I tell people all the time, don't give me the baseline narrative. Help me understand why such and such happened. Right? Yep. Don't tell me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, was it a detail in the story? Because like now,
no, that's all. It was literally 180 characters or however many characters you get on Twitter now to basically say, yeah, that draft class quarterbacks is a bunch of busts.
Yeah, that's bad. You can't do that. Because I let it slide for like the title, because obviously you should try to get people in with the title. So if the title was that, then they go into detail, be like, oh yeah, Mac Jones with the Patriots and others, they look the same. The team did this problem like that. I'm cool with that, because sometimes you got to catch people, because that's another thing. You got to catch people with the title. I'm even getting better at catching people with the title. Like perfect example, LeBron James 40,000 means, like we did that video, right? And this is another problem that we have with the narrative things. People just look at the surface base of it and don't do no research and look into it. Everybody gave me problems until they actually watched the video. I was like, that's the whole point. And that's it. So if it was just a title, I'm cool with the title thing. It's just like, that's how you just catch people out. But yeah, but no, I feel you on that. But then, like you said, a credible source like that, and no, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing it. But let's go ahead and get into some more basketball talk. We're gonna get into the football later. So yesterday, Sean, I was at my grandma's house. Everybody went over there. We had like a family dinner for my auntie. It was my auntie's birthday, like 2 days ago. So the Mavericks, like I told you, everybody don't understand it. I tell everybody the reason why I love basketball so much. I come from a sports loving household. My grandma was in the house watching, and my other grandma was there too, her sister. We was watching the Mavericks versus the Nuggets game. Dead serious in there watching the game. The game ended up getting closer to fourth, so we watched it. Kyrie Irving. I wish I would have caught my granny. My grandma jumped out the chair, couldn't believe he hit that shot like that. She was going crazy. He was like, oh my goodness. So Kyrie Irving hits a crazy left-hand floater for game, Sean. Did you see the play and what you think about it? That's probably one of the most coldest buzzer beaters that I've seen. With the left, it's crazy.
Yeah, I saw the play. I saw the game. Obviously, it was a crazy shot, and I happened to be on True to King, shout out True's platform yesterday.
Shout out True.
while the game was on, and I happened to say after they got the ball, late in the game, I said I'm actually running something for Kyrie here because I think the Nuggets are going to blitz Luka, so Luka could be more of a decoy, and they did. But it just just a reminder that of how good Kyrie is, and I think to me this year, probably more than any year he's been in the NBA, probably since obviously his early time in Cleveland. It's just been about basketball. It hasn't been anything else, and you can tell he's having fun and enjoying playing basketball again. So that was what it was to me.
And then also he was celebrating Ramadan. To do that on an empty stomach too. Oh, he a trooper, dog.
Yeah. He's doing it during Ramadan, which obviously for him to do that, and to be it, but he understands how to manage himself, as many athletes have learned how to do during Ramadan. So shout out to him for that.
Yeah, that's down, bro. And Kyrie gets to the point where the things that Kyrie Irving do is ridiculous, right? So we asked to beg the question: is Kyrie Irving the most skilled player ever to play basketball? Sean, I think he up there for sure, especially when it comes to finishing at the rim and ball handling for sure. I think from what I have watched and seen that my whole life of basketball, obviously the skill set advanced over from at your point of time, because there's a lot of people don't do that too. They just say, oh yeah, Kyrie Irving just way more skilled than everybody. But from whatever era you played at and what the advancements or the high level of skill set was at the time, I think Kyrie Irving is by far the most skilled player ever seen. Greatest ball handler. I ain't never seen a guy that small finish on the rim like that consistently in the ways that he do it, in the angles that he do it at. I don't know if he's the most skilled player ever, but sure, he in the conversation for me, for sure.
Yeah, without question, definitely in the conversation. I don't like to put a blanket thing and say that person's the best ever. Obviously, a lot of guys have played, but to me, what he did was took what got Rod Strickland was It was his godfather, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And because Rod Strickland was like that in terms of his ability, his handles, and could finish. Wasn't a leaper. And Rod Strickland didn't have a jump shot like that, to be frank.
Mm-hmm.
But you could stop him when he wanted to get to the rim. You could stop him. And obviously Kyrie is, taking the foundation of what guys like that and Isaiah and and Tim Hardaway. Shout out
Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, guys like that, and has just continued to build on that. But I mean, dude he's definitely a lot of fun to watch. And I think, the most important thing, and we talk about this, the skills are great. Do the skills help your team win? And that has been, I think, obviously the key with him is that we've seen him take his skill set and be able to win at the highest level.
Yeah, it said Kyrie requires the opposing team beat defense perimeter defender straight up. No, I mean, I wouldn't play him straight up.
Yeah.
But I think Steph is slightly more skilled. I don't know. Because the reason why I say, if we go with the players today with the guards, offensively, Steph got that jumper. That jumper is top tier. But I think Kyrie Irving, which I give Steph his credit to, he has improved his finishing. But I think Kyrie Irving's ability to just get to any spot, get open, to finish it at the rim, the mentality in the fourth. I'm sorry, he wants to live up to that moment. And it's like Steph is dominant because of you got to respect his jump shot. You have to respect it. He can shoot. Once he passed the half-court line, he's in range. But with Kyrie Irving, you just got to respect every aspect that you don't know how he's going to give it to you. Because if Steph wasn't as dominant, I ain't saying Steph could do it because Steph got stronger now. But if Steph didn't have that lead-through of a jump shot, it's better ways you can play like Steph and try to guard him. Or it's still ways you can kind of guard him and stop him. That's why he's more of an off-ball, or you see he's more successful playing off-ball. You put him in better position to score. Kyrie Irving, you can put him anywhere, off-ball, on-ball, or he's going to get to where he needs to go. So I'm gonna say Kyrie, but it's definitely a conversation. And Sean, the point that you brought up too about does the skill set help winning? Because also another player who is very, very skilled, one of the most skilled players in the league today is Paul George. And that begs the question. So sometimes does the skill set really matters if you don't win? Then pretty much is how you win. So if you can do it the basic way like Giannis and win, you rather take that than being one of the most skilled players, and you're not winning. Pretty much.
Right.
That's what you said you'll take?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing has always been, in a team sport, how does what you bring to the team help the team win? Because that's what it's about in a team sport. Yeah. It's not about your individual bag. Can your individual bag help us achieve the ultimate goal?
Who is the not in this era? Let's say in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. Take the last 10 years out the way because I want to kind of see who you think was the most skilled player ever that you've seen, but just couldn't win. Let's take some of today's players out the picture.
I mean, I guess the first guy that comes to mind is probably Melo.
Melo. I like Melo. I love Melo. Melo's a good pick.
Yeah, I'd say Melo probably.
I got Vince Carter in that conversation too. Vince Carter for sure.
Yeah.
Dominique? Will?
I never thought Dominique was that skilled. Dominique was a tremendous athlete. Obviously, he was a great scorer, but he didn't really have a crazy bag like that.
T-Mac for sure. T-Mac for sure.
Yeah.
He said Kobe VC was a great pick too. But about Kobe won though. Kobe won a lot. Yeah. Kobe won a lot. He said Hakeem was very skilled. But Hakeem won too though. Hakeem won.
Yeah.
Maybe Pat. What about Pat Ewing? How you feel about Pat?
Pat again, not a guy who had a so well. Let me say this about Patrick Ewing. So for people who don't know, when Patrick Ewing came in the NBA, he was still very raw offensively.
Yes.
And he became a guy who, eventually, developed an offensive game and his mid-range, turnaround jumpers, all that stuff. So he developed a skill set as he progressed in his NBA career. again, I think his not winning was less about him and more about that he never really played with another all-star and things like that. So, yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of guys. It's hard. Winning in the NBA is hard.
It's hard.
You know, everybody's not going to win. You know, so I think that's the reminder.
That's true. What about he said Sir Charles? I think Sir Charles in that conversation. The skilled players who didn't win. Bernard King. I think Bernard King won one. The one Knicks. No, he didn't. The one Knicks championship.
No. Bernard King was in the 80s. The Knicks won the championship in the 70s.
70, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pat was skilled. Yeah. When we say skilled, we talking about at that point in time. We ain't gonna compare it to today, because compared to today, of course not. But at that point in time, was he highly skilled?
Yeah.
He said, MB didn't hear you say a player who won. He said he was definitely nice too. And Glenn Rice. Yeah, there's a couple of good players. Yeah, but your skill set does matter. It does look great when you watch him play. Because I ain't gonna lie, I love watching Kyrie Irving play basketball. If you say you don't love watching Kyrie Irving play basketball, you crazy. That dude is cold, ice cold. On to one more basketball topic. Then we got to get into some NFL. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. Appreciate everybody here watching the show. Grant Hill and Penny, that was a great pick too. It is a possibility. And in 2024, it is crazy to say this though, that the Lakers, the Suns, and the Warriors could possibly miss the playoffs. Well, at least right now, how it's set, at least two of them will miss the playoffs.
Right.
Is that a shocker to you, or what is that saying about like the NBA right now? So that means no Bron, no AD, no Steph Curry, no Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal in the playoffs. And I got a question about the Suns too to add on to that too. But what does that say that like three like players who was just like juggernauts now probably ain't gonna be in the playoffs? That's crazy. No Steph, LeBron, and KD in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, what it says, SB, ultimately is, it's about how do you build a team.
Mm-hmm.
Having a great individual talent is cool, but how do you build a team? And I've always said this, I think, about the NBA. The younger guys coming in who go through their, first few years in the league, once they figure out how to play in the league and they figure out what they can do to help their teams win, it's not that they disrespect the older guys, but they don't fear them.
Yeah,
they feel like when I walk on the court, I got a chance against this guy and against this team because I understand now how to play in the NBA, right?
Right. So
I think it's that. I think it's also, again, it comes down to, the construction of teams. It comes down to, health. And obviously when you look at, Phoenix, for example, they've not been healthy the whole season. Their quote unquote big three has not played a lot of games together. Obviously the Lakers are a little different. Anthony Davis has been largely healthy this year.
AD.
Yeah. But also, again, we talk about roster construction. That team is very top heavy in terms of LeBron and AD, and and then obviously the Warriors. It doesn't shock me, but it's also saying that we're reaching the new tide in the NBA, and the new tide is these guys who are now in their fourth, fifth, sixth year are now taking over, and they're ready.
Yeah, and this is why. Not even to like to open the Pandora box about the WNBA again, but this is why the WNBA is possibly not flourishing, because you got to make space for the younger guys to play. In basketball is a young man game, and always going to be. It's a rarity for the guys to like be that old and still dominate like a LeBron, a Steph Curry. It's rare. But imagine these are guys who was at the top of the league, is some of the best players in the league. You even see like Jamal Crawford acknowledge the fact that, hey, man, I had dropped like 50 like on one of my last couple of games before I left. Didn't get an offer. Because at some point in time, you got to realize this is a young man's game. You got to let these younger players develop too to get to that point. Sean, you can't have a guy sit on the bench for 5 years, then just throw him out there and be like, oh, yeah, he ready to go. No, you got to give him out there. You got to let him play. So you got to move other guys around. And I also think it's a sign that Yeah, the NBA is a young man's game. Yeah, the NBA is showing that in the future they will be fine because we got people in the league carrying the league. Also, we got to look at. I want to look at the standings again. NBA standings, because the teams that are ahead of them are up and coming young teams with talent. Like right now, the Mavericks are at 7. But we got the Suns at 8, the Warriors at 9, the Lakers at 10. You got the Kings, Pelicans, Clippers, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, and the Thunder. And the only team I could probably look at and say that's like really like old is maybe like the Clippers.
It's probably the Clippers, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Young superstars, Anthony Edwards, SGA. Jokic ain't really as old. Look at the Pelicans, Zion, B.I., the Kings, De'Aaron Fox. Is the young superstars' time. They done got some years under their belt, and they started becoming better players. And like the Phoenix Suns, for example, I want to bring up Phoenix Suns. They got to realize that the big three era of you just having 3 guys and everybody else, it's not going to work no more. It's too many talented teams. Not superstars. It's too many talented teams, Sean, from top to bottom.
I think so. Here's what I think, SB. I think you can have a big 3. I think the big 3 that you have has to be very complementary of each other.
Mm-hmm.
When the Suns decided, hey, we're gonna go get Bradley Beal, and we're gonna basically make Book. He and Book will kind of handle the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I didn't think it was gonna work. And they're gonna need a lot of luck. They're gonna need a lot of luck for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason why it hasn't worked necessarily, I think, is because again they haven't had a lot of time together. But I've said also there are moments when you need a quarterback, right?
Yep.
You know, the old adage in Pop Warner used to be, if you don't have a quarterback, just put your best athlete under center and let them play quarterback, right? That's how you used to do. You can't do that anymore. Now you actually need somebody who understands in this moment, in this situation, here's how we'll settle down. Here's how I get you. Here's how we'll get into this set, things like that. And it's not that Book can't do that. That's not his strength.
That's not his strength. Yeah. You take it away from his game. What makes him good?
Right. So I think again, but they have to take ownership for this. This is what they wanted. And again, this goes back to just because your kids ask for candy, don't mean you should give it to them. You know, and so I think that's the other side. So I think you can do the big 3 things, so to speak, but they got to be very complementary of each other.
Yeah, like and I wasn't mad at the Suns. I think it was a bad fit anyway. I wasn't mad for the Suns for getting Bradley Beal, especially what they got him for. They really didn't get him for nothing. So it's like obviously you got to pull the trigger on that.
Right.
But that didn't fix their problem of what was the real reason why they was losing. They couldn't get past. They couldn't stop Jokic. You didn't add no big man dominance to that team. Like scoring wasn't y'all. Add Bill and KD, which is like, of course, you get a chance to get KD, you get them. But that didn't fix y'all. Y'all didn't have a problem scoring when y'all had Chris Paul and Aiden.
Right.
Y'all didn't fix the problem. And then when you look at like the Warriors and the Lakers, it's really just injuries and the stars. Oh, well, like LeBron can't carry an 80 injured. Then with the Warriors, Clay and Draymond, all the other boys don't look the same. But it's like that's what happened when you go on a championship run or you up, or like the Lakers, you use up all your assets. You're not going to be as good as you think you're going to be. But like I said, I think the league is in good hands. I like to see young guys, new stars take over the league because at some point in time they're gonna have to retire. He said Al2 was a horrible pickup and add a strength to a danger when you're so much more deflected than the top teams made no sense. I mean, yeah, but for what they got for KD is still trying to prove offensively really with chat. Real quick before we go to this football thing, right? We execute a lot of people who say this. Is that a problem with Kevin Durant? That he said he says great offense, quote, great offense is better than a great defense. And he think like his always man said, if I notice that since KD has been controlling teams, it's been very offensive heavy and no defense. I think somebody got to protect KD from himself when it comes to that. Why KD, like when the championships that he won with the Golden State Warriors, they was a great defensive team.
Right.
That was some of his best defensive years.
Right.
Oh man, KD lost me. KD lost me on that one. I ain't
Right.
saying I know more than you, KD, but I can tell you right now, you ain't with no great offense ain't better than the great defense on any day. I don't care. Everybody be like the game is about buckets. No. Charles, let's switch over to the gridiron to the NFL. Mr. RG3 had a lot to say about what Caleb Williams should do to the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the Chicago Bears have just traded Justin Fields. We're going to talk about that in a second, too, after this. And he said he want the Bears to pull a Eli Manning on them. Please, don't bring up bad memories, but he wants them to
Caleb Williams should pull a Eli Manning and demand that the Chicago Bears do not draft him #1 overall. After everything that's happened with just Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, you know what? This is the organization that has my best interests at heart, and they're going to help develop me into the player that I want to become. Caleb Williams is on record saying that he wants to be legendary. He wants to rewrite history, and he wants to be the best that he can possibly be and win the most games he can possibly win. After the Bears took Justin Fields, the 11th pick in the draft, and turned him into a 6th round pick in the 2025 draft by trading him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, you know what? Yeah, this organization is going to help get me where I want to go. I don't think it's saying that. Eli Manning had power in that 2004 draft. And he let the Chargers know, don't draft me. I don't believe in the direction that your organization is going. And I don't want to play there. He refused to play for them, even threatened to sit out an entire season if they drafted him. And they still drafted him. And the look on his face when he's holding up the jersey said everything. But he has to answer that question. And if he says, all right, I see everything that's been going on, and now I can make the decision and say, I don't think that the Chicago Bears are the best place for me or my family to accomplish all the goals that we want to accomplish, then he needs to let that be known. He does have power.
All right,
Did you let the last part play? I'm sorry.
Oh shoot, my bad. Let me see. I think I might have to. Let's see if I can fast forward it. I don't know if I could.
Caleb Williams should pull a Eli Manning and demand that the Chicago Bears do not draft him #1 overall. After everything that's happened with
Dang it. What did he say in the last part? All right.
So what he basically said the last part was if that's what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he's not saying, Caleb Williams, you should do this. He says, here's why you could do this.
Okay.
And again, if this is what Caleb Williams wants to do. Now,
okay.
So I want to preface this by saying that RG3 is a pretty thoughtful guy. He doesn't just say stuff for the sake of saying stuff. Right. And again, I think the issue comes into what does Caleb Williams want ultimately? And Caleb Williams, if he doesn't want to play in Chicago, he has some power. Mm-hmm. Now, I personally think he's okay playing in Chicago. Right. I think he's fine playing in Chicago. We know what you in the town. We ain't got to go into that. We know what the city can be, right? Mm-hmm. And we know if he comes in and he performs, that city's gonna wrap their arms around him. Because let's be honest, who does Chicago have as an athlete to wrap their arms around right now?
On the closest thing we got now is the rookie on the Blackhawks, the Connor Bernard. Connor Bernard.
Yeah. Connor Bernard, right? Nothing against hockey, but he ain't Sosa, he ain't Jordan, he ain't Walter Payton, he ain't Derrick Rose, he ain't Patrick Kane, right? You know what I mean? So he ain't Frank Thomas, you know what I mean? Like, you know, these are guys who played in Chicago that the city embraced and wrapped their arms around. Gale Sayers, we can go, you know, there's
Devin Hester, Brad,
right? You know, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? So Caleb Williams has a chance to be that, but bigger than that, he's got a chance to be that because he's the quarterback.
Yeah. But like when he said that I want to be legendary, like the reason why, like, because who brought this up too, right? Like this is the same guy that played for Washington when they took Kirk Cousins in the 4th in the same draft, right? And then we seen how Washington has handled him. So like you said, like what he went through with the Washington team, what he's saying, I feel like he genuinely have a genuine feeling for it. Like he's being genuine when he says what he's saying because he went through something bad and the organization not running him right. Because RG3, people don't want to admit it. Like he looked like he was going to be great when he first was with that first Redskin run, but obviously the organization managed him bad and he made bad decisions. If you want to be legendary, right, you got to go to the Chicago Bears. If he wants to be legendary, because I can tell you right there, Sean, your favorite player is Walter Payton. And the 85 Bears still walk on water in Chicago. It's some people who value, I'm telling y'all this the truth. Y'all, some of y'all gonna laugh and think I'm playing. It's some people who value that 85 championship over Jordan 6 championships. It's the truth. The Bears, like, if you ask any true Chicago fan of everything Chicago, they will rather see the Bears win again over anything. And that 85 Bears championship, they love the Bears. Super Bowl shuffle. They won one Super Bowl. They got a whole Super Bowl shuffle there. It's like they won like 10 Super Bowls. So if Caleb Williams wants to be legendary, you got to come to Chicago because this is one of the biggest markets. This is, if you win it, this dying to win. All Caleb Williams got to do is win one championship in Chicago is going to solidify him legendary, and it's going to be 10 times more valuable than a championship in Washington, and it's going to be 10 times more valuable than a championship in New England because New England is already still eating off Tom Brady. And Washington is not the same franchise. It does not hold the same weight of the Chicago Bears. The Bears are moving in position to get him to be most successful. They got him Keenan Allen, got DJ Moore. They buffing up the line. It's the best situation on paper for football too. And also, I understand that the Bears have done a bad job managing people. This is a different tenure. So we can see what they do though. I don't know.
Yeah. So let me just ask you a question, SB. Bears are getting a new stadium, right?
Yes.
Is it going to have a roof or a retractable roof?
Yes.
Or is it going to be open?
And I hate that but it's cool. It's a new era. But I'm like, that was a home field advantage for Chicago. You literally taking away what made Chicago football great because why you think the Dolphins didn't look as good in Kansas City? There would have been a dome in there. It probably would have been a different game this year, but the team's not used to coming in that Chicago cold. Let them come and play in that Chicago cold. Teams ain't going to look the same. You taking away what advantage that it is that Chicago Bears have, but it is in play to get a retractable dome on top.
Right. Okay. All right. So that would be one reason why if I were Caleb Williams, I'd be very fine coming to Chicago. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the first. And then the second question is, what does Matt Eberflus have to do to ensure that this is not the only season that he gets to coach Caleb Williams?
They got to make the playoffs and pretty much almost win the division. The Lions are a tough cookie, but he can't. They got to be better than what they was last year, 100%. Right. And they got to be in the playoff hunt. Honestly, they got to make the playoffs to me because the division is, you got one division that's pretty much useless. We ain't going to talk about that division, but you know what division I'm talking about, the NFC. You got the one division where it's only going to be 2-team dominant with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Then you got another division where it's still kind of up in the air who you think where it's not really, it's one team really. It's the Niners, and then is the Rams really can do something maybe. So it's up in the air for a wild card spot easily. Right. And the Bears could beat the Lions, but I still think the Lions are a better team, just depending on what everything Caleb does. And Eberflus got to keep that defense the same, and he cannot touch the offense. He got to let whoever run the offense run the offense.
Right. So
that's a lot to ask, but that's the truth.
So let me say this because we talked about this before the show, and I know we don't want to spend all night on this. My only concern, if I were Caleb Williams coming to Chicago, is playing for multiple head coaches.
That's true.
Right.
And that's a possibility.
Right. And so where, again, why Washington may be more attractive, people clown him, but Dan Quinn did coach an MVP quarterback.
Yes.
Did coach a team to a Super Bowl. We know what happened in the Super Bowl. We don't have to relitigate that.
We don't have to talk about it.
Right. But so he's proven as a head coach to have a track record of success, and
Yes,
he's going to be there, right? So
hopefully,
that
because
right.
Commanders flip coaches too.
Well, they got a new ownership group, right? This is not Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder's gone, right? He's somewhere on Epstein Island or something. But the point is that at the end of the day, you know, they got a new ownership group with Josh Harris, Magic Johnson's in that ownership group, obviously. You know, so they are going to build it, right? If I was a Commanders fan, first I want the name changed, which I'm sure they're going to do at some point. In
I don't want to change them. I'm just used to it now. Just say the Commanders.
No. Get that cheesy name out of here. No. But no, in all seriousness, you know, so that would be why Washington would be attractive if I were Caleb Williams.
Okay.
You know, and again, I think that's why I was asking about Eberflus, because to me, he's the only question mark I have in terms of the stability of the organization. Is he going to be there after next year? I'm not saying they should have fired him, because I'm not, you know, I don't lobby for a guy to get fired, except for Dennis Allen, of course. But the point is that, you know, I thought they should have gone out and brought in a new head coach and tied this new head coach to the rookie quarterback they're going to be drafting. Yeah, you know.
I think so too. It will be even crazier, but I'm glad they didn't get Harbaugh, because Harbaugh probably would have been like, "Go get JJ, get his quarterback from college."
Oh no, God, no,
that would have been terrible. But no, I understand from the point of like what you're saying, but he did play himself to keeping his job. But also, if I'm Caleb Williams, we got to have that conversation about like this guy keeping him here, or if it's a possibility that if he don't live up to expectations of what you want, and I come in and show my potential, I need to have, I ain't say 100% say so, but I need to have like input on who the coaches is, or okay, this is the guy that I want. That's what I would want to see. And if you tell me I'm cool with that, then they sold me. But on to the next one, we gotta. Okay, so the other side of the Chicago Bears thing. The Chicago Bears traded Justin Fields to the Steelers. Now the Steelers quarterback room is Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And the only problem really that the Steelers had was they had bad quarterback play. It could be the offensive coordinator. It could have been Kenny Pickett. I was going to get to the Kenny Pickett situation, but I just think he just ran for the ground. Because like I didn't want to be a backup that they traded to the Eagles. Now you're the ultimate backup. Could have just played for your starting spot, or just learn behind Russ, but that's on him. Cool. So now the quarterback room is nice. How legit does this make the Steelers a contestant in that division? Because that might be the best division in football, with the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers. And the Steelers, with bad quarterback play, won 10 games. So what could you expect this year with Fields and Russell Wilson back there?
So two things. I know the Steelers have come out and basically said Russ is going to be the starter, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a very fluid situation, right? If Russ comes in and he's balling out, which we haven't really seen in 4 years, then yeah, the job is his. But if he's just playing okay, I think you turn to Justin Fields, because I think Justin Fields provides more of a long-term answer to the quarterback situation. The problem with the Steelers is they're under pressure, I think, because they haven't won a playoff game in 7 years. Right? We understand Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. We get it.
But you gotta do it on a big stage.
But the Steelers, again, they're certain, and I say this all the time, and I hate being redundant, but there are certain organizations that have a responsibility to win big-time games. Big-time games, i.e. Super Bowls, NBA championships, right? The Steelers are one of those organizations.
Yeah. Having to win the season ain't enough in Pittsburgh.
It's not enough for that organization. That's not their standard. You know, no disrespect, but they're not the Texans.
No.
They're not the Vikings. No. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Or the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. The expectation is we don't just, make the playoffs. We win playoff games, and we're competing for Super Bowls.
Yeah. So you're right, because a lot of Lions fans, even though they felt like they honestly he sold the game. It's cool. But at the end of the day, after they left the stadium, like, you know what, this was a great season. We was happy. They happy. Pittsburgh having to win a season or just making the playoffs is not gonna make you happy.
No,
It's not. It don't work at that organization.
no.
But I think Justin Fields is gonna be definitely fair. With the question you brought up with that, all right. So if Mike Tomlin have another winning season, okay, what about the next 2 years? He have a winning season but don't make the playoffs. Do you think they'll let Mike Tomlin go? I don't think so, but that'd be what, 8-9 years, no playoff appearance or no playoff wins.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they don't fire coaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be if anything happens, it'll be a mutual parting of ways. If anything happens, but they don't fire coaches. That's not their MO, and they understand. They have a very good head football coach, right?
A great coach,
right? They have a very good head football coach, and he's a future Hall of Famer. He's going to the Hall of Fame as a coach. That's already cemented,
solidified,
right? So, but they also understand in their division, they're talent deficient in their division.
Yes.
When you look at their roster, top to bottom, it is probably the fourth most talented roster in their division. When you look at Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, Cincinnati might be right there with them, but to me, Baltimore and Cleveland, just from a talent standpoint, are more talented rosters. So they have to close. They have to close the talent gap in Pittsburgh first, but also, again, when you had a quarterback who was there as long as Big Ben was, that was not a position you were worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they'll admit it or not, I think they overvalued Kenny Pickett in the draft.
Oh, 100%.
I didn't think Kenny Pickett should have been a first-round pick, but okay, they took him in the first round. You know, the fact that he didn't like them going out and getting Russell Wilson and basically begged to be traded shows me a lot about him. Shows me a lot about him. And I heard somebody say, he's being a class act. No, you be a competitor.
Yeah. Because they didn't even say Russell Wilson 100% had the job.
Right.
You just brought him in to compete. You scared to compete.
Yeah, step your game up with your punk ass. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, but anyway. Yeah, no. Yeah, I said punk because I don't want to say the other word. But anyway.
It confused me off that. I'm like, wait, why they traded? At first, when I thought they just moved him, and it was like, I was like, oh, well, the Steelers might go get Justin Fields. When it came out and said that he begged to get traded, I'm just like, oh, yeah, he's done. He's done. Yeah. He's over with. But on to the next one. Chase Young signs a $13 million contract with your Saints, Sean. Mm-hmm. I asked you this question earlier, but I'm going to ask it again after I hear do you like or love that you got Chase Young on your Saints?
If he comes to play football.
Right.
Yeah, if he comes to play football, yeah.
Now, my question that I asked you earlier, but I'm going to ask again on the show live. Mm-hmm. Is Chase Young becoming the new Jadeveon Clowney?
It feels like it. It feels like a guy that's going to jump around, and teams are going to bring him in. And Clowney too. And I have to say this about Clowney.
And Clowney be balling.
Clowney is productive. Why Clowney never gets the long-term deal, in my opinion, is because he's not a sack guy.
Right.
So
he don't need to. And the crazy part about it is he don't need to even be a sack guy like to get a lot of sacks to impact the game. That's right. I've always been shocked that Jadeveon Clowney couldn't find one location to stay though.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he don't impact the game. He definitely impacts the game. But man, I can't. That's Chase. Chase crazy. I mean, good signing for y'all though. I ain't gonna lie, that's a great signing. But because with the talent, you can't deny Chase Young talent. But like you said, if you come to play, you got to play. And it opens up the Pandora box. I don't like we said we don't want to take so long with this. Like sometimes people maybe just don't like the game. They just take it as a job.
Right.
All right. But on to the next one. Cowboys rework Dak Prescott contract to reduce the cap hit. It opens up $4 million in cap space. I don't think nothing else they're gonna really do with that, but to help other players in the future. I know a lot of guys is mad that the Cowboys didn't really do anything, but you got to understand a lot of teams are in salary cap hill. Even my Chargers in salary cap hill. If they literally got to a point where they say, "Hey, restructure your contract. We're gonna trade you." Yeah. Joey Bosa, Mac restructured. Mike Williams said no. They released him because I guess they couldn't find no trade for him. Keenan Allen said no. They They traded him. So when you a salary cap here, you got to do what you got to do. You lucky it ain't like the NBA where you can't change the contract when you stuck with the contract. Ain't no restructure, no contract. So, yeah, what you think about Dak taking reducing his contract?
Well, it's a reduced cap hit. He gets his money. It's just to lower the cap hit. So basically what they do is they convert a certain bonus to a roster bonus, for example.
Right.
So that's all. So it lowers his cap hit this year from 59 to 55 million. That's basically it. They still have to work out a long-term deal with him because until they do, it's going to be very hard for them to get CeeDee Lamb signed long-term. And obviously, I think they want to get Michael Parsons locked up, as well long-term.
You have no choice.
Right.
CeeDee Lamb and Michael Parsons can't go nowhere. I take the chance of releasing Dak, even though I know that's the most important position on the field when it comes to football. I take the chance of releasing Dak before I lose any of them two. I don't think it's because is Dak really the long-term answer for the Cowboys? Can you 100% say so?
Well, I mean, I think financially he has to be. So I would say yes from a financial perspective. And again, and anyway, we know Dak's not a terrible quarterback. Dak's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's just not a great quarterback. And he don't have to be if everybody does what they're supposed to do around him, including Mike McCarthy. Right. So, in my humble opinion, I don't think Dak is the problem. I think Dak, obviously needs to understand and remember who he is and why he's done as well as he's done. But I don't think getting rid of him is the answer. And also, again, they have to consider how they're going to build their team going forward when you have these massive contracts of Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons. And so, but and the main thing is again, the main thing is to make sure the cap hit is not as hefty as it's been, which is why Patrick Mahomes reworks his contract. But
every season.
Yeah, but also remember, Patrick Mahomes has a very unique contract, right? The uniqueness of his contract is his contract has what are called rolling guarantees. So basically what it means is when he's on the roster, the Chiefs roster for the league year, the beginning of the league year in March, that rolling guarantee kicks in the next year for his contract.
Oh, okay.
Right? That provides him some long-term stability, but also it allows the Chiefs to understand that here's where his numbers are going to be. So if we need to rework that contract in the offseason, we can. There's other guys who have it, but Patrick Mahomes does have it in the contract.
That's smart man about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
On to the next. Speaking of money, because we're talking about money, it has been. I think Cam Newton said something about it, and a lot of people have just been saying a lot of things about it, about how Kirk Cousins keep getting paid. A lot of people said something about it. Everybody got to the point it was a running joke. Everybody trying to figure out who his agent is. I haven't figured it out yet, but if you find out, let me know. We might have to get on board with that man.
Right.
Kirk Cousins finally responds, and he said, "I'm not going to apologize for my financial success," and I 100% agree with him. He is not telling people, "Hey, pay me $100 million." They are offering him the contract. Is Kirk Cousins? People want to bring up that Kirk Cousins got one playoff win, and Kirk Cousins has made more career money than Tom Brady. It's come with a part of the game. Kirk Cousins has did a great job. His agency has done a great job. Make sure he get paid. And coming off the injury that he got and at the age he is, he still got $100 million guaranteed on his contract. The total contract goes to like 180, but he got $100 million guaranteed.
Right.
Blaming Kirk Cousins for apologizing. Get your money, man. Hey, shout out to his agent.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And that's, again, what it comes down to is, hey, who's your agent, who represented you, and ultimately, he can only sign the deal that the team offers or that they negotiate. So I'm never mad with anybody for getting their money, but I'm also willing to admit that, again, sometimes, you overpay for the mid. When your credit is bad, you're gonna pay a higher interest rate on that jalopy. So at the end of the day, that's what happened with the Falcons. They had a jalopy last year, and now they got to pay more money for a mid-size sedan, which is exactly what they got.
Hey, that's crazy. That's hilarious. It's the truth, though. It's the 100% the truth. Like when that credit score ain't hit right, you ain't really got nothing else to work with, or the what you had before that was so bad, you would take whatever you can get, and if you need it now, you go overpay for it. And then Kirk Cousins, one thing that I do like with what Kirk Cousins was doing too. You never really, when it came like his contract, I think at one point in time before he got the guaranteed contract with the Vikings, if I'm wrong with the team that it happened with, one day was like just giving him like 1 year or like tagging him or something, and he didn't really say
Washington. That was Washington.
He was getting tagged every year. You ain't hear none of him complain, release me, nothing. He took that bag, got up out of there, and sometimes that helped too. And then he goes to the Vikings with Justin Jefferson too. There puts up crazy numbers. And like you said, when you mediocre, you happy just to be back competing again, what the Vikings are doing. And then he go crazy. Next thing you know, another team need him. Now it's a bidding war. And when you make more money when it's a bidding war, so shout out Kirk Cousins. One last story, Sean, before the NFL mock draft has been going into madness because now I think the madness started because the Bears traded Justin Fields. And it was iffy on what Caleb Williams is going to do. Right now, since Justin Fields is gone, I'm trying to go back to the one. Okay, yeah. Here you go, right here. Post free agency, because now with all the post free agency movements and all the dominoes are falling, a lot of teams are going to be scattering now. There's a lot of teams who still need a quarterback, like the Raiders and the Vikings, and teams need like my Chargers need wide receiver heavy draft. So in this, it was on the score. Let me see if I can share my screen so you can see it. Give me 1 second. I'll just share so you can see it. Come on, man. Open, there you go. Boom. NFL mock draft. Boom. Okay. NFL mock draft madness, right? So close. Get out the way. Get out the way. Okay, let's refresh it. This thing won't not move. Okay, there you go. NFL free agency mock draft. So obviously they got the Bears taking Caleb Williams, which obviously that makes sense. You just got rid of Justin Fields. You got to go all in on this guy. So then they got the Commanders taking Drake May at 2. I'm iffy on that. I don't know if Drake May go high as 2. That'll be crazy, and especially with Daniels being there. I don't see you taking Drake May at 2. That would be crazy. Then they got the Raiders trading up to 3 to the New England Patriots. I wonder what that trade package will look like. And I highly doubt that the Patriots trade away the 3rd overall pick. Could you get a quarter? I mean, is it a Patriot way not to take nobody high? Maybe because the Mac Jones situation, maybe they don't want to take a quarterback that high. They might go back and get somebody later, maybe. But they got the Raiders trading the 3rd. I'm going to go through 5, then I want to hear what you think. Then they got the Vikings traded up for the Cardinals and taking J.J. McCarthy at 4. I don't see this. I don't see the Cardinals trading their pick away with 1 because they need a receiver with Marvin Harrison Jr. being available and possibly going to go to them. They're not going to trade that pick. And then if the Vikings trade up, why would they trade up to 4 to get J.J. McCarthy? Whatever they pick was, they would pick 11. They could get J.J. at 11. I don't think 4 quarterbacks are coming straight off the board off the first 4 picks would be crazy. I don't think so. Then they got Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Los Angeles Chargers. This mock draft, she had to be made by me because ain't no way this happening. Because it's just this got to be a Charger fan that's trying to make something happen. But Sean, what do you think about those 5 things right there? What's the percentage of that happening?
20%.
Okay.
The only thing locked in is the Bears at 1.
Yes.
First of all, I don't know who did this mock draft. I gotta assume it was probably a Chargers fan as well.
Got to be Dan Wilkes and Dan Belbick.
Yeah. Well, Dan and Dane. Dan and Dane. You out of your damn minds. Excuse me.
They got what?
No. I mean, so obviously the Commanders at 2 are likely to take Jaden Daniels, right? If Jaden Daniels is there at 2, You're going to take Jaden Daniels. Drake May is falling down draft boards to the point that people think McCarthy may go ahead of Drake May. I personally think McCarthy's getting a little overvalued, but that's me. Because again, I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he could be a solid starting NFL quarterback. But I think he is what he is. I don't think he has a high ceiling. Just from watching him and watching his film from Michigan. Again, I do. You said the Patriot way. It wasn't the Patriot way. It was the Belichick way.
The Belichick way, yeah.
Right. It's a different era now.
It is.
And I think Gerard Mayo, again, if he's got a chance at 3 to get Jaden Daniels at 3, which again, I don't think Jaden Daniels will be there. I think he'll take him, obviously. But, again, I just don't see that happening. So, and then at 4, again, if the Vikings trading up to get JJ McCarthy at 4, it's like them getting Christian Ponder. It's like, really?
It makes no sense.
Yeah,
I think they get him at 11. They said they moved. They could get him at 11.
Yeah, I think again, what would it take to move up? Remember, they have the 11 and the 23rd picks. I think it would take both of those picks to move up to 4 to make it happen. But I'm not moving those picks for those 2 picks for JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry. No, that's insane.
That's insane. And then they got my Chargers taking Marvin. In the perfect world, I would be happy. Is HELL, but it's like a 30% chance of us getting Marvin Harris and make it to 5.
Right.
There's a better chance of us trading up to go get him. If we could go get him, it'd be nice. So they got Malik Neighbors going to the Giants. I can see the Giants taking the quarterback.
I can see the Giants doing Malik Neighbors, but also again, I can see the Giants taking a quarterback. I think the Giants like JJ McCarthy, but again, I think it would be. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that right now.
Let's check the list to 10. Then they got Joe, the offensive tackle. Then they got Dallas going to the Falcons.
Yes.
They got the Bears taking Rome.
And yeah, so I think the Bears here will be looking to trade back.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't see them. I mean, I like a Doomsday, but what they've invested in getting Keenan Allen, and obviously you have DJ Moore. I don't know if this is necessarily a high need for them.
No,
they need offensive line help. So if you can drop back and get an offensive lineman or get another edge rusher, that's where I think the Bears might consider go. Yeah.
And then they got the Jets taking Brock Bowers, the tight end, which is nice too. I mean, he's pretty nice from Georgia.
I can see that, but I think they need offensive line help. They need all the help on the offensive line they can get.
I think, they need to buff their line. Aaron Rodgers not going to make it through another season, dog. Y'all got to buff that line, man. Y'all got to buff that line. But that is the show. Sure. Another great episode of Real Takes Over Fake Debates every Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time. Episode 61. I ain't going to lie. I did not look up one. I can't think off the top of the head, but I'm going to tell you now. Who you got? 61.
Well, so one guy came to mind for me is Nate Dutton. He's from Orlando, from the hometown. Nate Dutton played offensive lineman for the Cowboys in the 90s. Should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not, unfortunately. And then my other guy, you might remember this guy, Jabba Chamberlain. Used to pitch for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. That's a good pick. Yeah.
So
I like that's my pick. I like him. Yeah. I forgot about it. It'd be like the numbers be so weird. You don't think of nobody wear like we in the 60s. You don't think on top of your head like who used to wear 61? That's like a weird number. Yeah, we can go with that too, man. Yeah, that's the show, man. See you guys on Friday. Make sure to be checking out the videos during the weeks where we go chop up videos from the show so you guys can watch the show. Shout out to everybody watching and supporting. Sean. So when I clipped the video segment from the last episode with Bang, it just did a cake, man, over the old heads hating the we done with the 90s. So shout out for you guys to watch it, and we appreciate you guys every time you guys do that, man. Keep going. So be looking out for the video. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. Real Takes Over Fake Debates, and man, we are out of here.
Rucker Man.